What's going on, everyone? Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we need to discuss if the Chargers are about to trade away a former starter. Now, what's interesting about this rumor is that it kind of originates from Bleacher Report, and they are asking who should end up being moved on from every team in the National Football League. Now, we are going to break down on today's show if it is smart for the Chargers to trade away this former starter. Is it a bad idea for the Chargers to trade away this former starter? And then I'm going to try and do something a little different. I'm going to give my opinion here and there on what I think the Chargers should do, but I'm going to leave this video up to interpretation. You let me know at the end of the show if you believe that a trade should end up being made around this player. So I'm going to lay out the entire argument on today's show. I'm a lawyer. Entire argument. I'm going to give you my piece. Then I'm going to let you decide as the jury of Chargers Now. Make sure that you go in the comment section and you let me know if General Manager Joe Hortiz will make a big trade this offseason. I kind of hypothesized this theory earlier. Go down below and type C if you think that this will end up happening, and type I if you think that this will end up not happening. So the big trade that has been kind of thrown about right now with the Los Angeles Chargers is, will the Chargers trade Kimani Vidal? Now, Moe Morton does a great job of covering the NFL with the Chargers, and he had this to say on why it should be or could be Vidal. However, the Chargers signed running back Keaton Mitchell and hired offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, who favors speed at the skill positions. Despite his contributions in the previous seasons, Vidal could drop to number 3 on the depth chart if Mitchell flashes pre-ACL-injury quickness. If Vidal falls out of favor in McDaniel's offense, the Chargers may look to deal him to a team that needs to bolster its backfield committee. Now, this is an interesting conversation because when you look at a player like our running back here, he is someone that could potentially be on the outside looking in. And so it does lead to the question of, would there be a reason to trade Kimani Vidal in the 2026 NFL offseason and even in the NFL season? There are going to be teams that lose running backs. There are going to be teams that need new running backs. There are going to be teams that look at a player like Vidal and say, hey, we would like him to be on our team. So let's have the conversation. Why would it make sense to potentially trade our running back here in Los Angeles? Well, first of all, he is relatively low on the depth chart. Now, I'm not going to attack him or attack anybody else. I'm certainly not going to say that being running back 3 on the Los Angeles Chargers is a bad thing. But right now, it seems pretty clear that Omarion Hampton and Keaton Mitchell are going to be the 1 and 2 running backs for Mike McDaniel. It seems like, at least right now, there is a chance that he might be on the outside looking in. Maybe the Chargers want to go with a younger running back who's right now 4th or 5th on the depth chart, and so they could end up using him as a trade piece later. Or maybe they even look at a guy like Kimani Vidal and they say, hey, we can go into NFL free agency and find a running back that might better suit the system that McDaniel wants to run. What I find interesting here with this argument is that you don't end up taking into any of the issues when it comes to a potential injury. Another reason why you might want to move on from our running back here in Los Angeles is because he doesn't really fit the offensive system, right? We know that Mike McDaniel likes to run a 2-headed running back combo. It's a system where a couple of different running backs do end up getting to have touches on a game-to-game basis. Now, typically what he likes is someone who's got a little bit more speed, and then he also likes, McDaniel that is, to have a running back that has a little bit more power. It's a thunder and lightning type of a situation where both running backs end up having good vision. Now, I don't want to sit here and say that you have that thunder and lightning, but you certainly have the lightning if you want to go with a guy like Keaton Mitchell. And then Omarion Hampton has a lot of vision. We've got more to discuss on why he doesn't really fit into the offensive system in a moment. But first, I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff basketball finally here, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at Prize Picks. And I'll tell you this, the app is really easy to use. To qualify for a Prize Picks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. One thing I love is the new social feeds feature where you can share prize picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app at BigWill7774 to see all of my lineups. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this year. Justin Herbert, more on his pass yards. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Rashid Shaheed, more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with PrizePicks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description. So let's go into greater detail on that quicker running back model that McDaniel likes to run with. We know that Devon Achane had a lot of success in Miami. Savon Ahmad as well, someone who had some success in Miami where he is known for being a quicker back. Raheem Mostert was someone who had great vision. When you look at this Los Angeles Chargers team, Omarion Hampton does have the explosive playability, but he is someone who has great vision. He's going to be able to see holes when he is running this zone concept. When you look at a guy like Keaton Mitchell, at any moment that guy can get gone, and if he does do that, well, watch out because the Chargers are going to be in a great position. So he might already have his two guys that he wants to really use as his two running backs next year in Los Angeles. The other thing is that Vidal is going to have good value. When we talk about trades, I think a lot of fans look at players on their team and they go, I like that guy, so we could trade him away for X amount of capital. Not always is that the case in the National Football League. What I have noticed, though, with a guy like Kimani Vidal is that he has had success. He was your starter for half of the year last year in Los Angeles, and he was someone that showed that he can be not necessarily the bell cow, but a key cog in a team's running back room. Teams can always use running backs that are like that. Teams want to have solid running back production because I know that the main feature back, that pay has gone down. You're still going to see a great need for running backs in the National Football League. There's never going to be a time where you do not have a running back that gets a lot of reps. And so these are reasons why you could potentially trade him. Let's look into the reasons why the Chargers should not trade Kimani Vidal. Well, the first reason is that injuries happen all the time. I think everyone in Los Angeles that is a Chargers fan, maybe even in San Diego, understands this. When we look at last year for the two main starting running backs in Los Angeles, what became pretty clear? You needed to have multiple backs because Omarion Hampton wasn't able to stay healthy through the entire year. Now, I'm not placing any blame on Hampton. That isn't his fault. Dude has injuries. But injuries are a part of the game. And so you need to have guys that are capable at running the rock behind guys who you might have as your starters. You need to have good depth. Teams that are just top-heavy are playing a very dangerous game. You're highly leveraged. And if at any point you have a significant injury, it's over. You can look at the other team in Los Angeles right now. As many talented players as they have on their team, you know what I'd be fearful of if I was a Rams fan? I'd be fearful of an injury. Because if there's an injury to any one of like 5 players, the whole season goes, right? And that's not a good thing. Los Angeles Chargers, general manager Joe Hortiz has made it clear, want to have depth. You have 3 capable running backs right now on your roster. You might want to keep it that way. McDaniel likes to use multiple running backs. Now, while Kimani Vidal does not right now fit a mold that they don't necessarily have already or is not necessarily a greater version than some of the other guys that are on this depth chart right now, it is important to note that Vidal is someone that can show just how talented that he is. And if there ever is a situation where McDaniel feels like Hampton or Mitchell doesn't have it that day, he can turn to Kimani Vidal as a third option. Just because the system typically is run with 2 running backs doesn't mean you can't use 3. And I think that last year showed us that Vidal is someone that can add to this team. I think he's going to get reps. And if a trade were to happen, it certainly wouldn't happen now. It would happen actually probably after that 3rd preseason game. That's something that's going to be important to kind of mention. But he's going to get reps. He's going to get reps all offseason, and there's an opportunity for him to show McDaniel that, hey, at the very least, the kid needs 3 to 4 carries a game. And if he's doing well, then you keep handing the football off to him. If he's not doing well, then you go back to the other two guys. But if you end up trading him away, you're really, really, really banking on the other two guys who have been injured in the past to show that they can stay healthy. Lastly, I think that Kimani Vidal is a very good culture guy. He was someone last year that was asked to perform in a key moment. I think he did just that. When you're averaging 4 yards a carry and you get over 600 yards in a year where you were not the main focus, you were not the starting running back, that's pretty good. I've also never really heard anything all that negative around him. Seems like a good culture fit. Seems like a good locker room guy. If he wasn't, the Chargers certainly would not have brought him back this offseason. So to me, this seems like a good reason as well to keep him. Keep the culture, keep the leadership the same as best you can. Would you trade Kimani Vidal? Let me know down below in the comment section. This is your part as the jury to come in and tell me, what should the Chargers do? Your general manager, Joe Hortiz. Are you trading Kimani Vidal? Yes or no? I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. And you know what? You've probably heard by my tone which way I lean. I probably would be in my comment section right now typing no. But that doesn't mean that my decision-making is the best that can be made for the Chargers. Hit the subscribe button. We're going into another week, final week of OTAs. You don't want to miss any of the coverage that we've got going on here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Tell someone that you love them. And as always, bolt up.